Happy Septuagint Day! Let's continue comparing the Hebrew Masoretic with the Greek Septuagint by going through the New Testament and seeing which manuscript family the writers used when quoting from the Old Testament. In this video, we will be looking at Luke chapters 7 to 18. The running count of verses will continue from the last video. Luke 7:22 is Jesus' answer to John the Baptist when he asks Jesus if he is the one who is to come. It reads, "Go and tell John the things which you have seen and heard. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, the poor have good tidings preached to them." Jesus is making reference to Isaiah 35, 5 and 6, and quotes from Isaiah 61, 1. The Masoretic reads, "Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as a deer. Jehovah has anointed me to preach good tidings to the meek." The Septuagint reads, "Then shall the eyes of the blind be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall hear. Then shall the lame man leap as a deer. He has sent me to preach glad tidings to the poor, and recovery of sight to the blind." The main difference in Isaiah 35 is that the Masoretic says that the deaf will be unstopped or open. The Septuagint says the deaf will hear. The meaning of these is the same, though they use different words. Notice how Jesus said the deaf will hear. If Jesus was quoting from Isaiah 35, his words would be more specific. But Jesus is not quoting from Isaiah 35. He is referring to it. When looking at Isaiah 61, 1, we see the same differences we saw in the previous video regarding Luke 4, 18 and 19. Just like there, recovery of sight to the blind is not found in the Masoretic. Also, Jesus and the Septuagint say that the good tidings are preached to the poor, while the Masoretic says meek. Jesus is following the Septuagint. Luke 7:27 is Jesus' sharing the prophecy about John the Baptist. It reads, "Behold, I send my messenger before your face, who will prepare your way before you." This is a quotation from Exodus 23:20 and Malachi 3:1. The Masoretic reads, "Behold, I send an angel before you, and he will prepare the way before me." The Septuagint reads, "Behold, I send my angel before your face, and he will survey the way before me." This quotation was visited in two previous videos and is found in Matthew 11:10 and Mark 1:2 and 3. Luke's quotation reads like the other two, so the conclusion is the same as in those places. Jesus is following the Septuagint. Luke 8:10 is about why Jesus spoke in parables. It reads, "Seeing they may not see, and hearing they may not understand." This is a quotation from Isaiah 6:9. The Masoretic reads, "Hear you indeed, but understand not, and see you indeed, but perceive not." The Septuagint reads, "You will hear indeed, but you will not understand, and you will see indeed, but you will not perceive." This quotation was visited in a previous video and is found in Matthew 13:14. Luke reads like Matthew, except for one obvious difference. Luke switches the order of these phrases. Even though he switches the order, the readings are all the same. Like with Matthew's quotation, Jesus is following both. Luke 10:15 is about Jesus' condemnation of Capernaum when they did not believe in him. It reads, "Capernaum, will you be exalted unto heaven? You will be brought down unto Hades." This quotation is from Isaiah 14:13 and verse 15. The Masoretic reads, "And you said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. Yet you will be brought down to Sheol." The Septuagint reads, "But you said in your mind, I will go up into heaven. But now you will descend into Hades." All readings agree, Jesus is following both. Luke 10:27 is Jesus' greatest commandment. It reads, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind. This is a quotation from Deuteronomy 6:5. The Masoretic reads, You shall love Jehovah your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. The Septuagint reads, You shall love the Lord your God with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Even though Brenton's translation says mind, the Greek word is heart. This quotation was visited in 2 previous videos and is found in Matthew 22:37 and Mark 12:30. There are some slight differences in the readings. This is especially true with loving God with your mind, which is not found in the Masoretic nor in the Septuagint. Jesus adds that phrase to all 3 Gospels. In the end, Jesus is following both. Luke 12:53 is when Jesus is teaching about how his coming to earth will cause people to become enemies. It reads, They will be divided, father against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against her mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. This is a reference to Micah 7:6. The Masoretic reads, The son dishonors the father, the daughter rises up against her mother, the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies are the men of his own house. The Septuagint reads, A son disgraces a father, a daughter rises up over her mother, a bride over her mother-in-law. A man's adversaries are all the men in his house. This quotation was visited in a previous video and is found in Matthew 22:37. In Matthew, Jesus is quoting the verse straight from Micah. But here in Luke, Jesus gives a different version, so Jesus isn't quoting from Micah here, but he is referring to it. The only direct phrase that Jesus pulls from Micah is daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Because this is not a direct quotation, as it was in Matthew, this verse does not help us compare the Masoretic and the Septuagint. It will not be included in the running count of verses. Luke 13:27 is about Jesus' end times parable about the master who closes the door as people are wanting to come in. The master says, Depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. This is a quotation from Psalm 6:8. The Masoretic reads, Depart from me, all you workers of iniquity. The Septuagint reads, Depart from me, all you that work iniquity. All readings agree, Jesus follows both. Luke 13:35 is about Jesus' lament at how Jerusalem would not accept him as Christ. It reads, Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. This is a quotation from Jeremiah 22:5. The Masoretic reads, This house shall become a desolation. The Septuagint reads, This house shall be brought to desolation. This quotation was visited in a previous video and is found in Matthew 23:38. Luke has the same reading as Matthew, so the conclusion is the same. Jesus follows both. The next verse, Luke 13:35, is also part of Jesus' lament. It reads, Blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord. This is a quotation from Psalm 118:26. The Masoretic reads, Blessed is he that comes in the name of Jehovah. In the Septuagint, Psalm 117:26 reads, Blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord. All readings agree, Jesus is following both. Luke 18:20 is when Jesus speaks to the rich young ruler about the commandments. It reads, You know the commandments. Do not commit adultery. Do not kill. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Honor your father and mother. This is a quotation from Exodus 20:12 through 16. The Masoretic reads, Honor your father and mother. You shall not kill. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. The Septuagint reads, Honor your father and mother. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not kill. You shall not bear false witness. This quotation was visited in a previous video and is found in Mark 10:19. Mark gives a different order than Luke. Mark switches "do not commit adultery" and "do not steal." So Mark and Luke and the Masoretic and the Septuagint all give a different order to the commandments. As stated in the previous video, the order does not matter. Luke's reading matches Mark's reading. Like before, the readings match the Masoretic and the Septuagint. Jesus is following both. That is enough for now. We will continue looking at New Testament quotations from the Old Testament in the next video. Blessings and so forth.